Good morning everyone. In today's video, we are going to cover atomic structure, remaining topics. In the previous session, we have completed photoelectric effect, black body radiation and all, right. So, in today's session, we are going to cover these topics, right. One is hydrogen spectrum, Bohr's model of an atom and limitations of Bohr's atomic model, and Sommerfeld's extension of Bohr's theory. These four topics we are going to cover in today's video. Okay, let's start our video. Okay guys, come. So first of all, what is meant by spectrum? We should know spectrum. See, spectrum means a light, a white light, from any object, an incandescent bulb or anything which is producing some white light. That white light, it is showing some different types of colors. Suppose if we see WebCR, in rainbow we are seeing WebCR, right? Violet, indigo, blue, orange, red and green, like we are seeing some types of colors. So in a white light or anything we can see. So we are able to see that different types of colors in that WebGR form. So this white light is splitting into different types of colors is nothing but said to be dispersion actually. Okay, so from that white light, these types of colors, these many types of colors are coming, is said to be dispersion. Because of dispersion of white light, we are able to see these many colors. And also the arrangement of that 7 colors starting from violet. So okay, from red at one end to violet. So WebCR like also we can see. Okay, starting from red to violet, if you are taking like a rainbow, that arrangement of colors is said to be spectrum. What is that? Spectrum. So this spectrum we are able to observe from any atom or molecule or ions is said to be atomic spectrum. Okay, atoms, molecules or ions that have absorbed some amount of energy and they are producing these arrangement of the colors, that is said to be atomic spectrum. Okay, see these atomic spectrums we are going to study here hydrogen spectrum. Okay, hydrogen means one atom, that hydrogen spectrum, because whatever the spectrums we have, this hydrogen spectrum is the simplest spectrum. Okay. How can we observe this hydrogen spectrum? See here, when we are passing through the hydrogen atom, some discharge tube. What are the conditions? Some low pressure, a bright light is emitted. When under the low pressure, through hydrogen gas we are passing hydrogen gas through electric discharge, right? So at low pressure we are observing some bright light emitting with a spectrometer. Okay, that is said to be hydrogen spectrum. See, that spectrum means different types of colors we are observing. That different types of colors is nothing but the different types of wavelengths. WebGR in red color wavelength is different, indigo wavelength is different, orange wavelength is different. So those radiations are falling at different wavelengths, are giving different types of colors. That is what we are studying as the spectral lines. Those spectral lines are forming at different wavelengths. Okay, so and also these lines are present in the visible region. Whatever WebGR we are taking, those are we are able to see with our naked eye. Means those rays are falling within some wavelength which are able to see with our naked eye. 3600 angstroms to 7000 angstroms we are able to see. So these WebGR colors these spectral lines we are observing in that wavelength. Okay, so some other spectral lines also there, they are falling in infrared region, UV region, like that. Okay, so those we are not able to see with our naked eye. So those are different types of spectral lines, but these we are able to see. So this one, which the series of spectral lines we are able to see in this visible region, is first identified by Balmer. So that series of spectral lines are called Balmer series. The spectral lines which are falling with that wavelength we are considering as the Balmer series. Generally, this Balmer series we can observe when the second line, when n equal to 2 means higher, when electrons are jumping from higher orbit to second orbit, we are able to see this Balmer series. Okay, see here you can see the spectral lines. This is n equal to 1 means first, n equal to 2 second orbit, third orbit, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh and infinity. When electrons are jumping from higher orbits to first, then that is called Lyman series. When electrons are jumping from higher orbit to second orbit, this is called Balmer. This is the visible region. What is this region? This is visible region. This Lyman series also we are unable to see because this region is UV region. Okay, this region we are unable to see with our naked eye. Comes to this, when n equal to 3 means electrons are jumping from higher orbit, means 4, 5, 6, 7, they are falling from higher orbit to third orbit. Then that series is called Paschen. When electrons are jumping from higher orbit to fourth orbit, then that is said to be bracket. Next one is Fund. So there is a question that, see, when electrons are jumping from higher energy, higher orbit to first orbit, that series is called Lyman series. Electrons are jumping from higher orbit to second orbit, then that is called Balmer series. So Lyman series we can see with UV region, Balmer series we can observe in visible region, and this n equal to 3 Paschen, bracket, Fund we can see in IR means infrared. That too far infrared, near infrared and infrared regions we can see those spectral lines. Okay, but see here in the hydrogen spectrum we will study about the Balmer series because those wavelengths are those spectral lines we are able to see with our naked eye. So based on this, the Rydberg has given one equation to calculate its wavelength or wave number based on these spectral lines. Okay, based on these values, how to calculate the wavelength or how to calculate the energy or wave number, they have given one formula for the calculation. See here, that is nu bar equal to 1 by lambda. Nu bar is nothing but wave number. Already in previous session we have discussed that wave number is nothing but reciprocal of the wavelength, means 1 by lambda equal to R into, R means Rydberg's constant, okay, R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square centimeter inverse. Why centimeter inverse? Wave number units are centimeter inverse, right? So because it is the reciprocal of the wavelength. So 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. n1 square is nothing but where the electrons are jumping. Okay, n2 is nothing but from where they are jumping to where. n1 will be the second, if n1 will be 2, n2 will be 3, 4, 5, 6. Means electron can come and jump to from 3, 4, 5, 6 to second. Then this one can tell as the Balmer series. When n value, we have that, see, n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3. When n1 equal, I will write here, when n1 equal to 1, n2 can be, means electrons can jump from second, third, fourth, fifth and so on. Then this region we can see in UV, and this is called Lyman series. Okay, when n1 is 2, then n3 value can be 4, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. This is the Balmer series. So when we are taking n1 value as 1, 2, 3, 4, the remaining n2 value will be above to that. Okay, this is the Rydberg's formula. This is the Rydberg's expression for the calculation. Nu bar equal to R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square into centimeter inverse, right? So where n1 and n2 are the whole numbers like information given, and this is explained for only one electron species. This is explained only for single electron species, means helium plus, lithium 2 plus and beryllium plus 3, means only single electron species this is applicable, and R value is 109677 into Z square centimeter inverse, where Z is the atomic number of the element. If you take, so overall formula for the calculation of the Rydberg's wavelength or wave number is nu bar equal to Z square into RH. RH means Rydberg constant value for hydrogen, 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square centimeter inverse. Okay. This is about the hydrogen spectrum. Let's see our next topic, Bohr's model of atom. See, according to the Bohr, we have studied in the previous Rutherford's atomic model, Dalton's atomic model, Planck's quantum theory also, all of these. Based on that, here Bohr has given some of the postulates, what is an atom, how the electrons revolve around the nucleus, why they are not losing their energy. Based on those, he has given some of the points. See, here we can see what are the main postulates of the Bohr's atomic theory. See here, the first point about the Bohr's atomic model is what he considered electrons revolving around the nucleus in a particular path. These orbits are said to be stationary paths. These circular paths are stationary, means stable. Okay, those are called orbits or shells. And also he introduced one letter, that is n, principal quantum number. So each orbit he allotted one number. When n equal to 1 means first orbit, when n equal to 2 second orbit, when n equal to 3 third orbit, when n equal to 4 fourth orbit, or else he given shells like K, L, M, N shells. Shell or orbit is nothing but electrons revolves round a nucleus in a circular path. Those circular paths are called, those circular or stationary paths are called orbits. Okay, those orbits are n equal to 1 first orbit, like that, or K, L, M, N shells like he has given. Okay, and next one, when electrons are jumping from higher energy level to lower energy level. Okay, so what is drawback of Rutherford's? When electrons are revolving around the nucleus, they have to fall into the nucleus, they have to lose their energy, but that is not happening. What's the reason? So for that continuation, he has given electrons revolves around the nucleus in a particular path, and they will not lose their energy, they exchanges their energy, means they jump from higher energy level to lower energy level, or lower energy level to higher energy level, but they will not fall into the nucleus. There is no question of collapsing the nucleus like. Okay, so when there is a change in energy is possible, so that change in energy he is considering as delta E equal to delta E means change in energy, E equal to h nu means frequency, delta E equal to change in energy. It can be E2 minus E1 or E3 minus E2, anything from third to 2 it can jump, from 2 to 1 it can jump, so from final orbit to initial orbit, that is called change in energy. That change in energy value will be E2 minus E1 equal to h nu. Okay, and one more thing, here he explained about the angular momentum. Angular momentum is mvr equal to nh by 2 pi. Here he give it, mvr equal to nh by 2 pi. What is this mvr equal to nh 2 pi? M is mass of electron, v is the velocity of electron, r is the radius of the orbit. Always this mvr called angular momentum will be integral multiple of h by 2 pi only, where n is called Bohr's orbit number. Okay, so mvr equal to nh by 2 pi, he explained that also. And also one more thing, this Bohr has given the radius of the nth orbit, energy of nth orbit, and velocity of nth orbit values also. Means if one electron is present in first shell or second shell, what is its radius? By substituting n value 1, 2, 3 like that, we can find its radius, energy or velocity also. Okay, see here, this is the radius of nth orbit formula, Rn equal to 0.529 into n square by z angstroms. What is n? Means orbit number. If you want to calculate the radius of first orbit, in place of n you have to substitute 1. If you want to calculate the radius of second orbit, then you have to substitute n value 2. And z is nothing but its atomic number, for which atom you want to calculate the radius, that atomic number. If you want to calculate for hydrogen nucleus, then H, z value 1. For helium, z value will be 2. Okay, but these are applicable for single electron species only, not for multi electron species. All Bohr explained their formulas based on their single electron species, not for multi electron one. Okay, like that only this is the energy of electron for nth orbit. En equal to minus 13.6 by n square into z square. Here also same. N means energy of nth orbit. If you want to calculate for first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, that number you have to substitute here, and z value is its atomic number. Electron volt per atom is the unit for energy. Here angstroms is the units for radius. Okay, see, these are the postulates. Okay, electrons revolves around the nucleus in a particular path and change in energy, angular momentum and radius of nth orbit, velocity of nth orbit, all these are the postulates of Bohr. But here we have some drawbacks of the Bohr's atomic model also. The first drawback is all these Bohr postulates are applicable only for the single electron species, not for the multi electron species. That is the first drawback. And next one, he is not explained the splitting of spectral lines, means about the spectrum in presence of any electric field or in magnetic field. Okay, the splitting of spectral lines in presence of magnetic field is called Zeeman effect. The splitting of spectral lines in presence of electric field is called Stark effect. These two not explained by the Bohr. And also one more thing, he said the electrons revolving round the nucleus in a particular path, means he said the position of electron and momentum we can calculate simultaneously like, but according to the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which we will study later, according to Heisenberg, the position and momentum of an electron we cannot calculate simultaneously. Okay, so that is the main drawback of the Bohr. And also one more drawback, in Bohr's MVR equal to NH by 2 pi he said, but he did not give any calculation for why it is H by 2 pi only. Why not 3 pi? Why not 4 pi? Why we have to take 2 pi only? That calculation he did not explain. But MVR equal to NH by 2 pi is correct. It is if you apply this one to everyone, it is correct only. But why it is 2 pi only? That explanation was not given by the Bohr. So these are the main limitations of the Bohr's atomic model. Okay, let us see the next topic. Sommerfeld's extension of Bohr's theory. See, in Bohr's theory we have studied electrons revolve around the nucleus in a circular path. That circular path is called orbits or shells, right? So what is Sommerfeld's extension of this Bohr's theory? If you observe here, this is the circular path, but here not only in the circular path, they will be in the elliptical form also. There is a elliptical path, because if you consider the major axis and minor axis, if both are fixed, major axis and minor axis both are fixed, then the elliptical the path is circular. When we are changing that the major axis or minor axis when we are changing, then it gives the elliptical form, means that is not fixed, that is not in stationary state. Like see here, electrons are revolving around the nucleus in an atom are not circular but elliptical in shape. Why? It is due to the influence of the centrally located nucleus. Influence of this centrally located nucleus. That point was missed by Bohr. So, to that continuation, Sommerfeld explained the Bohr's theory. So, electrons are revolving around the nucleus not only in the circular path, they are in the elliptical orbits like. Okay. So, those elliptical path, it depends upon the minor axis and major axis. So, based on that we can see for the first orbit means when n equal to 1, we are able to observe only one circular path. But when n equal to 2, when n has 2 values, then one orbit will be circular orbit and another orbit will be elliptical orbit. When n equal to 3, one is circular orbit, remaining 2 are the elliptical orbits. Those elliptical orbits and that number we are considering as orbital, which we will study in the further topics. Okay. So, this is the not only all the circular paths, there will be an elliptical path, those are called orbitals like given by the Sommerfeld. Okay. The continuation of this orbital we will study while discussing the quantum numbers. Okay. Let us see the next one, dual nature of electron. See, whatever they have explained till now, that particle has only single nature. But here de Broglie has explained that they have both particle nature as well as wave nature, right? That one he has proved according to the equations. Calculations also they have proved, right, experimentally. Let us see here what de Broglie has considered. According to the Planck's quantum theory, we know that E equal to h nu. H nu we can write as energy is equal to hc by lambda. Whereas we know that according to the Einstein's mass energy relationship, E equal to mc square. E equal to mc square. So, that is equation 1, this is equation 2. If you equalize both the equations, we will get hc by lambda equal to mc square. Both are velocity of light only. So, we can cancel this one. So, finally, h equal to lambda m and c. But we want wavelength lambda equal to h by mc. H is called Planck's constant, m is the mass of the electron, c is the velocity of light. This mass into velocity is called momentum. That one we consider as p. So, lambda equal to h by p, Planck's constant by momentum. This is the de Broglie's theory. Okay. See, according to the Planck's theory, E equal to h nu. According to the Einstein's mass energy relation, E equal to mc square. So, based on this, electron will have a dual nature, both particle nature as well as wave nature. Okay. So, this is about the dual nature of the electron. Okay. So, in today's video, we have covered spectrum and Bohr's atomic model and its limitations and the de Broglie's theory also. Okay. Remaining topics will cover in the further video. Thank you so much.